Hello, welcome to Chapter 14, Lesson 1 and 2. I thought these two would be good lessons to combine together. Lesson 1 talks about points, lines, and rays. Lesson 2 talks about parallel and perpendicular lines. They're all kind of about lines, so let's see. A point is an exact location that is represented by a dot. Okay, so that's kind of information you need to know. A line is a straight set of points that extends in the opposite direction without ending. Okay, so a line never ends. We've kind of talked about this too with lines, line segments. We're going to get into that more, but here we go. Draw parallel and perpendicular lines for lesson 2. You can describe lines, rays, and line segments by the way they cross each other or do not cross each other. So if you were in my class last year, hopefully you're remembering the parallel, intersecting, perpendicular, they're rectangular, little robot dance. If you weren't, I will link that video because it's pretty funny. And anyways, let's get started. Molly drew the figure shown. Identify the figure she drew. So the figure extends in opposite directions, right? The arrows indicate that it extends without ending. So it goes on forever in both directions. So this is a line. This line is labeled with point X and Y. So there are different ways to represent this line, such as line XY. So you can write out the word line XY. Or you can put XY and then put a little line on top. I like that version better because I don't have to write as much. So I just write XY, and then I make sure to put arrows on both sides, and we're good. So here are some key concepts. A line is a straight set of points that extend in opposite directions without ending. It can be written as line AB, or like that with AB with a line on top. A ray is part of a line. Okay, so it's not the whole line, it's just part of a line that has one end point. So this would be where it starts. Then it goes through B. Then it goes on forever. Okay, so we can call this ray AB or AB that has a line or an arrow only on one side. Okay, and a line segment has a stop and a start and a stop. Okay, so it has two end points. So we're only talking about the point of the line from A to B. We're not talking about it going on forever in either direction. It's just that segment of a line. Okay, so I do want to talk about this. If I were trying to name this ray, I would not name it ray BA. I would not write BA ray. And the reason why I wouldn't do that is because this implies it starts at B. So this would be B, goes on to A. Sorry, B would be right here. Goes on to A, and then it goes on forever. So is that how it goes? No, it starts at A, then goes to B, then goes on forever. So rays, you have to be a little bit careful on. So we cannot do that one. It has to be starts at A, goes to B, then goes on forever. We could, if you felt like being silly, we could write it B-A and then put the ray that way, right? Because that implies starts at A, goes through B, then goes on forever. But that's kind of tricky, so just write it the way it is, please. Okay, let's identify each figure. So here we have a line segment. Line segment could be written as QR, and then we just do like this on top with no arrows. Shows it's a line segment. All right, next we have the line FB. So I'm going to write FB, and then I need to draw lines on both sides. Let's write on here too that this is a line segment because it has two endpoints. This is a line. Okay, this is a ray, so I'm going to do starts with A, goes to C, then goes on forever. This is a ray. And then here we have another line, D, F, put arrows on both sides. This is a line. Okay, here we have a line segment. So this is line segment VZ. line segment because it has 2 endpoints. This is line M, N, a line. Draw each figure. So this is a line segment. So I'm going to have point Y, line another point B. There's my line segment YB. This is a ray. This has one endpoint, one goes on forever. So it's going to start with L, go through R, and then it's going to go on forever. So this is a ray. Create a drawing that includes 3 line segments, 1 ray, and 4 points. Okay, so I can have line A, B, three line segments, 1 ray. I could put a C right here and make my ray. So here's what I think we're going here. This would be line segment BC. Line segment BC. We could also have line segment CA. And we could have line segment BA. Okay, so there's 3 line segments. I'll do them in different colors. So we'll do 1, 2, and 3 would be the whole thing, right? And then our ray, I need another point, would be CD. Our ray would be CD. So 3 line segments, check. Here they are. 1 ray, check. 4 points, A, B, C, D. All right, there we go. Okay, choose the correct words to complete each sentence. So a blank is a part of a line between 2 end points. A line segment. A line segment is a part of a line, and it's between 2 endpoints. An exact location represented by a dot is a point. A blank is a figure that extends in opposite directions without ending. That would be a line. Goes on both ways without ending. A ray has 1 endpoint. A blank extends in one direction without ending. So that would be a ray. Test practice. Which is the correct way to represent this figure? Okay, so it's not a line segment. It's not a ray. It's not a line segment, and this one does show line WB. Yep, that is correct. All right, so there's lesson 1. Now let's go on to lesson 2. So you can pause the video, turn to the next page. So this one we're talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. So parallel lines are always the same distance apart. I like to say they're equal distant apart. If you check them at any 2 points on their lines, they're going to be the same distance. Because sometimes we say they don't ever meet or they don't ever cross each other. And then we talk about lines like this. Well, these lines don't meet. But if we extended them on forever, they would, right? And these lines are not equal distant apart either. So Oliver saw a figure, if we're talking about this figure over here, because I didn't read the question. This figure right here, those lines are equidistant apart, so they are parallel. Okay, parallel lines are always the same distance apart. They do not meet. Now here's how we write our answers to say that 2 lines are parallel to each other. Line AB is parallel to line CD. You could write it out in words. Or you can do what we learned on 14-1, line AB, and these lines are parallel to line CB. Okay, so this is how we can write it kind of shorthand. Okay, lines that meet or cross each other are just called intersecting lines. If there's nothing special about them, they just cross each other, intersecting lines. Okay, and lines that meet or cross each other to form square corners are perpendicular. Okay, so these are perpendicular lines. Many streets in Austin are perpendicular lines, right? Like if you have 6th Street and 5th Avenue, then, you know, the houses have square lots, perpendicular lines. And this is how you can write it with the symbol. This is the symbol that means perpendicular. So we have this symbol means parallel. This symbol means perpendicular. So you can say line AB is perpendicular to line CD. When we're talking intersecting lines, let me take a step back here. We just have to write it out. AB intersects CD. Okay, so describe the figure. Use parallel, perpendicular, or intersecting. Use the most specific term, right? Because technically, perpendicular lines are intersecting lines, but that's not the most specific term. The most specific term would be to call them perpendicular. So the figure shows ray AB and line segment CD. 2 endpoints versus 1 endpoint. The figures cross each other but do not form square corners, so they are intersecting. Describe the line segments outline. So parallel, right? They're equidistant apart. Okay, these lines are perpendicular because they, D-I-C-U-L-A-R, because they cross at 90-degree angles. Okay, use the symbols and draw an example of each figure. Okay, so we have line GP. Now, listen, am I going to be able to draw a perfect line? No. Just do your, I don't expect the same out of you either. Just do your best. Line ND. Okay, parallel lines. Ray HY intersects line segment QA. Ray H, then it goes through Y, then it goes on forever. And it's going to intersect, so it's not going to be perpendicular because they would have said perpendicular if they wanted that. And then these have to have endpoints because it's a line segment, Q, A. There we go. And lastly, vocabulary check. Draw a line to match each vocabulary term to its example. Intersecting but not perpendicular would be this one. Parallel lines are these. Perpendicular lines are these. Which is the correct description of the figure? This figure, okay, I hope they tricked us. We know these are perpendicular, right? Oh, so we can cross off the parallel ones. So now we have to see, is it line QB and line SF or line QS and line BF? Nope, this one. Q, B, and SF are perpendicular lines. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed learning about lines because I love teaching about lines and geometry. So we will see you tomorrow. Bye.